vampire novels to you. So if you want to stay up to date on, well, not up to date, but if you want to actually know what vampires were like long ago, before all the fancy movies and the things that we now associate them with, this is the time for you to learn. So please, please join us. We're going to have a great time together. It's going to be so, so fun. Excuse me. Hopefully the audio is coming in very nicely. I'm glad you're able to make it to one of our lives. Welcome in, Chris. Hi, Jenny. Welcome in. And don't worry, the wife will be here shortly, and she's definitely the reason to be joining me today. I'm trying to adjust all the camera angles and get everything more or less where it needs to be. And for those of you on Zuckerberg's platform, I apologize for the angles. It's just never as good off Zuckerberg's thing since I have to use a laptop because of my current band situation. Thank you so much, Michael. And for all of you on my TikTok, I really appreciate you joining me. You guys are key because there will be several hundred of you here joining me. It's extremely important you give me tap, tap, taps because every 50,000 taps you give me, I will perform some magical illusions, and everybody else can't contribute. Only you guys can. So make sure that you're tapping so that we can get some magic. Welcome in, Jasmine. She's amazing. Hi, Cindy. Welcome. A little over to the right for the YT. All right, let me adjust the angles. I think that may look a little better. We'll see. We'll work it all out as we go. I'm glad you enjoy my videos. I'd like to make more. I used to make a lot more videos before my city's been on me so much. Anything I make a video about now, if I'm working on a house, the city will be there in the next day and come harass me. So I can't do videos on projects I'm working on right now. Am I a fan of Stephen King? Well, I've enjoyed what I've read of his, but I don't think I would qualify as a fan. I don't really read much of his stuff. It's too long, and I don't have enough time to really do that. Your favorite book is Dracula by Bram Stoker. Well, I can tell you that my favorite vampire novel was Dracula. However, this Varney the Vampire has been up there pretty close, and you can see where this inspired a lot of the things that were in Dracula. Bram Stoker would have grown up reading the stories of Varney the Vampire, and it's very clear the influence there. Yes, thank you for the heart me's and the gifts. That shows support, and that helps me out a lot. That helps me out bunches and bunches and bunches. Have someone else run the camera while you work on the project. No, it's not the camera work that's the problem. It's the things that I create. Any content that I create around how to do things on a house. I used to do like, this week we'll work on patching a wall. This week we'll work on anything I do working on a house. The city is on me as quick as they possibly can to try to shut me down. Can I read a little passage from the book? Yes, we're going to read a large passage from the book, and we're going to do it starting in 15 minutes. So we begin at 7 Central. We're just a few minutes early. I've been around a little while. Raiders. That is delicious salt water. As Cabo says, that's because you're not pulling permits on homes that need to be demoed to the foundation. They gave me a stop work notice for changing a ceiling fan. I pulled a FOIA request, and there has never once in the history of Fort Smith been a permit issued for changing a ceiling fan. Literally, they don't even do that. There is no permit that I could get for that. No, they're harassing me is what they're doing. And they have never once cited a violation that I have made. There's never been a, oh, we caught you, you messed this up. It's always been, oh, you did it correct every single time. So I take that back. There was one time I had a stink pipe for a sewer line that's supposed to go over 8 feet in the air, and it was only like 7 feet. So the stink pipe needed an extension, which cost about $2 and just a piece of PVC to stick onto the top. And that was technically a violation. Yes, I'm drinking salt water. What's my favorite food to put garlic on? I don't put garlic on any of my food, strangely enough. I've been on a carnivore diet for a very long time. I don't eat any plants. Oh, yes, it is the privilege of a beautiful woman to keep us all waiting anxiously for her arrival. She will be here momentarily, but you'll have to wait for her arrival. Everyone's anxious to see her. I feel like maybe you guys follow just to see her more so than me. In my Roth IRA, I have shares of Lode, Lode. It's a stock. That's the only stock I'm currently invested in. How many people are running against me for mayor? Right now, there are 4 total candidates, so there are 3 people running against me. But the word against is a bad word. I don't think any of us are against each other. My competitors may feel differently. I think we're all just for the city and for ourselves and our own ideals. I'm not treating this like I'm running against other people. I'm treating this as though we are all running for the good of the city, and I will continue to think of it like that. Oh, thank you so much. I hope that I will be the next mayor. I have every intention of putting my effort into being the next mayor. But if it isn't me, I hope that the person that is the mayor will make the changes that are necessary. And I think we're going to raise a lot of awareness to those issues. Fort Smith, Arkansas. It's a city of about 100,000 people. It'll be an election in November. Do I have any favorite plants I miss eating? No, not at all. I very much enjoy the taste of the things I eat now. What are you running on as your main issue? The primary thing, I was hoping to be able to start the petition today, but it will be Friday, and that is a petition to change our government from an administrator form of government to a mayoral form of government, meaning in the city of Fort Smith, we are ran by a city administrator, not a mayor. We have a mayor, but the mayor is a part-time job. It's only on Tuesday evenings and very rare other occasions. And the mayor has no power. The mayor can't hire people, can't fire people, can't do any of those things. That's done by an administrator who's appointed. And one of the most important things that we need to change is that. So there will be a petition I'll be circulating in order to handle those things. The next most important thing I feel like, which is a big contributor to many of our city's problems, is our building and planning department's overreach. For the past 30 to 40 years, it has interfered with so many companies coming to Fort Smith, so many businesses, so many remodels, so many things along those lines that would be happening. They just come in and have this gotcha mentality that shuts development down. And that is the reason why Northwest Arkansas continues to grow at a rapid rate compared to Fort Smith. Up there, it's very easy. If you go in and say, I'm going to open a business, I want to have an auto body shop, they say, what can we do to help you? Can we help you get into the building? And if you run into a snag where it's like, this isn't quite to fire code, they have the common sense to say, well, this is how we can get it passed quickly and easily so that this can get started. Whereas in Fort Smith, they go in with a clipboard and they start off the conversation, oh, you want to open a body shop? Well, first you're going to have to do this, and that's going to take you a few weeks. And then you're going to have to do this, and then we're going to have to come do an inspection. There's no how do we help you? There's no what can we do for you? It's absolutely ridiculous, and that stops development from happening. Now, I don't want to make this live a political speech. That's not my intention. We're going to be reading a vampire story. We start in 10 minutes. So Varney the Vampire, the wife will be here, and in 10 minutes we're going to be reading this story from the 1850s. Planners playing God can hold so many cities back. Now, the cities that get over this have massive development because companies want to open somewhere. They want to open their businesses somewhere. And it's ridiculous when the city is against the business development that needs to happen. Well, thank you. I will definitely be speaking out on these issues. And again, the mayoral thing has to change. Read it. Read what, please? Let me come over here and take a look at what I'm missing. Have you ever read Let the Right One In? No, I have not. I have not read, but I have watched the movie. The original one, I think, was delightful. It was, I believe, Norwegian. I'm not certain about that, but I think it was Norwegian. They did an English remake, but it wasn't as good. This story was written in the 1840s. Blue, I will get to the cholesterol thing. I'm so sorry. I've been working very hard on so many things. And like anytime I stop working, I have to work on my mayoral campaign. And that's just been a difficult video to put together. The reason why I did like the t-shirt video yesterday was because I was working on t-shirts. It's just the thing that I'm doing. Try to be considerate. I really want to get that content to you, but I can promise you, I'm drinking salt water. I'm still eating carnivore. That should tell you that I'm doing okay. How'd the podcast go? I haven't actually gotten to watch the podcast yet, but I was kind of here for the recording of it, I guess. So I'm assuming it went pretty well. I will probably look into it later and see. Welcome, darling.
Hello. I'm moving this stuff out of the way so I can sit down.
$900 for a month for an HOA fee, and how much do they tend to increase year to year? HOAs can increase by varying amounts. Oh. I like that.
There's a battery in the floor.
Yeah, well, I had to move a lot of things for the podcast the other day and made a mess, but...
You did make a mess.
You're distracting me, dear. She's so distracting.
You knocked the batteries out of my blood pressure cuff.
I didn't mean to knock the batteries out. It should be up. I haven't actually looked to see. I've been too busy working on other things. Let me try to get the framing of the both of us in here correctly. I've been framed. You're going to take your blood pressure.
Well, since I'm playing with the cuff, I might as well.
She is on the carnivore diet as well. She drinks salt water. We have glasses of salt water. I wonder what her blood pressure is going to be like not eating plants. Let's do an over and under. How many people think her blood pressure will be under 120?
I don't know. I'm using it over a shirt today.
What do you think? Is it going to be over 120? Over or under? I'm glad you enjoyed the interview with the vampire story with Brad Pitt. That was a very good one. Hello, everyone. So we got some overs, a lot of overs. We got an under, over. The HOA gets the HOA money.
Is systolic, 108 millimeter
108.
of mercury. Diastolic, 66 millimeter of mercury.
Now, all of you that think eating vegetables is good for you, remember that. 108. Yeah. So, yeah. Would you like some more salt water, dear?
Yes, please.
And all of you avoiding salt to keep your blood pressure down, maybe it's not the salt, maybe it's the carbs.
Glucose by any other name would be just as sweet.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
Someone beat the spread, they said. Hello. Your book is right here, dear.
Ah.
It's okay, we've got 5 minutes left. Your book. You're precious.
So are we on in 3 places or 4?
We're on in 3 places.
3 places. Hello.
I still haven't been able to get that camera
Hello.
to connect to the Zuckerberg
Hello.
platform. Once I get that to go, which again, I don't have time to just sit here and tinker with it. If I could get that streaming, that would, I feel like, make it much better.
What platform?
The Zuckerberg platform. So,
Oh, the second one. Because that's one right there.
yes, it's okay. I'll explain it to you when we're not on the live.
Okay.
Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to sound like I'm mansplaining it to you.
Well, there's a difference between mansplaining and information dump.
Okay, I agree. I do think there's a huge...
Absolutely.
I think that's many times the people that like to information dump get accused of doing such a thing. So we have to do the Zuckerberg platform here because I was banned. So it has to be on the computer, which means I have to connect it to this. I can't even use a good microphone on that because it automatically overrides the camera. So we don't even have good audio, really. So to make that work better, I want to integrate it to that camera and stream it through this device. But that involves some additional software and some other things.
I see.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you. So this shirt I have had for at least 20 years. It's a asymmetrical shirt. I got it while following the dark Lolita, the gothic Lolita style. And it's kind of coquette, actually. Had it for a long time.
I love it. Yeah, you got that probably the first or second year of our wedding, or after we were married.
I
Like,
said
it was
I've had it for at least 20 years.
a long time ago. It's easier to understand when you're looking at everything on this side. From your side, you're just seeing us, but there's all this equipment and lights and everything all over here that are streaming things. And when I'm pointing and talking about it from her perspective, I think she understands.
Someone said it was correctile dysfunction.
Correctile dysfunction.
Is another word for mansplaining.
I like that. I think that's hilarious. I'm going to have to remember that.
But who did you hear it from that said that it was best explained, the difference between mansplaining and
Autism spectrum.
Information dump.
The information dump that people on the spectrum do. Yeah. Yeah, she's one of my favorite creators, paleontologist. And she said that one of the easiest ways to explain is if the female shows interest in the subject and the person gets excited about the fact that they're showing interest, that's a sign that it's probably not mansplaining. And the other thing was if when they contribute, they just miss it completely and they don't get offended, because a man that is mansplaining will be like, I can't believe you would be trying to include information here, or talk down to the person when they try to join in. If they get excited or ignore the join in, that's probably just the information dump from being on the spectrum. Hello, Pennsylvania. That's my second favorite Sylvania, right after Transylvania.
There are electrolytes in the water, yes. Hello.
We are drinking salt water, not wine. We don't drink wine.
We did go watch the latest Dracula movie. I was underwhelmed, although the music was lovely. Danny Elfman did a marvelous job again.
Hi, Iowa. Welcome in. Hello, Georgia.
There were just some things about that one. It was a rewrite. You know, it wasn't very close to the novel, and that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of artistic feelings.
Oh, the perfume part.
Yeah. I don't want to go into spoilers.
Yeah, well, that's not a spoiler. Just look past that. And I think you would enjoy that movie more if you didn't think of it as in any way related to Dracula.
Yeah, I would
I think
agree.
if you went into it as, I'm going to watch a vampire movie, I think you would have a much better time. If you are a lover of the story of Dracula, I feel like that's going to cause you a lot more disappointment on going to see that one.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful story, and I like a lot of the elements of it, and I think it's fun. But
don't think of it as a Dracula movie. Exactly. Think of it as another vampire story.
we are using a mineralized salt that has sodium, potassium, and magnesium. This is where we get our electrolytes. Since we don't eat any plants, we don't get potassium from the potatoes and the fruits and the veggies that all of you eat. So we eat mineralized salts, or drink mineralized salt.
Airbnb goes through great pains to make sure that their places are good. And read reviews. Read the reviews.
And this is not as salty as the ocean. It is salt water, but it's not as salty as the ocean. And all of you have drinking salt water many times. In fact, if you're athletic and you're on a sports team or something and you drink Gatorade, you are drinking salt water. It's just sweetened and flavored so you don't realize you're drinking salt water. That's what the electrolytes are that are in it. So it's not as weird as it seems.
Hello, Washington State.
We have more than one glass, but believe it or not, I would absolutely drink after this beautiful woman. Thank you for the gifts. The gifts help us
I mean,
greatly.
yeah, we kiss all the time. It would
Yeah.
be silly not to. It would be silly to be like, oh no, I can't drink after that person.
We have read Camilla. We read it last year. It's a wonderful vampire story that's a little older than Dracula as
In
well.
fact, you can see how big this one, and this is 2 volumes. We will probably read Dracula again and Carmilla again, and I want to say would do Vampire City.
Vampire City was fun.
It was very fun.
If you've seen like Dusk Till Dawn, the Quentin Tarantino vampire movie, it had a lot in common with Vampire City, like the way the vampires were. But they were.
I also have The Vampire Countess that I have picked up that I want to read. And then there's another one that I grabbed somewhere, and I don't know where I put it currently, but yeah, I have 2 new to me vampire novels that are all old. We're reading older vampire novels, not anything. I don't think we're reading anything that's past the year 1900. Like everything is pre-1900 that we've been reading.
Britt, congratulations for starting the carnivore. It is 7 o'clock. We need to review. Are we ready to review?
Review all you like, my love.
All right. So we've been joining Varney on his journeys for quite a while now. It started off, he was just honestly, an innocent vampire wanting to buy some property from, the property was called Bannerworth Hall. And
Innocent.
innocent, yes. He was an innocent vampire. He wanted to buy some
I
property.
think there was an item at Bannerworth Hall
Well,
that
he
wanted.
offered whatever price they wanted, and they refused to negotiate because they were discriminating against him because they thought he was a vampire. They didn't even know for sure if he was. It was pure discrimination and against Fair Housing Acts and many other things that we have today. But this was set in the 1820s. It was written in the 1840s. So they refused to sell to him. Eventually, the whole town gets together and burns his house down and chases him out of town. But not before he gets an item from Bannerworth Hall that's worth a lot of money. It was a picture frame that he had hidden some money in. So he was able to get that, and he used that in order to impersonate a baron. He figured, well, if society wasn't going to allow him to exist as a vampire, he could use his newfound wealth to become a baron and try to become properly wed and have a wife and live in proper society. So he rented a huge estate and he threw lavish parties and he wooed a young lady. And on his wedding day, the same people that stopped him from buying Bannerworth Hall, the same admiral that was so against him, showed up at the wedding and ruined his wedding. Can you believe that? It was tragic. So then he leaves, and then we follow to Colonel de Vril. And Colonel de Vril he's a colonel that came back from his battles in India with wounds, and he needed to stay at a boarding house with a young lady and a mother, and eventually the lady became interested in wedding the daughter to this man because he was fabulously wealthy and wanted the money. It's amazing how money can be such an aphrodisiac for a lady, it seems. So they were very interested in this Colonel de Vril. They organized a wedding, and the admiral got invited to the wedding, and the admiral ruined it yet again. So in our last story, Varney, who was playing the part of Colonel de Vril, was foiled again and was yet again robbed of happiness right on his wedding day. So we're going to continue on and find out what happens. Hello, Austin, Texas. I'll be communicating with you through comments while she's reading. Do I have any lines in the first?
Not the first couple pages.
All right.
The sun had long descended the horizon, and the good city of Winchester had been buried in darkness many hours, while the moon, though high in her course, was obscured by a heavy cloud that drifted from the southwest. The gusty winds whistled round the walls of the cathedral church, producing an unpleasant sensation, with a foreboding of a coming storm. The inhabitants of the quiet, orderly town were steeped in repose, and a stranger, who might by chance have wandered at such an untoward hour abroad, would not have found one single ray from any window, save perhaps at one or two hotels, which merely keep open until the London mail passes through, lest any passengers should make their stay at Winchester. Save at these places, all were reposing peaceably in their beds, and the tower of the cathedral frowned majestically upon the tombstones below, and upon the surrounding buildings which appeared to peep upon the limits of the graveyard, while the fir trees were just yet standing beneath the blast, as it swept across the low walls by which the cathedral on one side is bounded. But the solitary churchyard was not without its occupants, living or not. For its sanctity is invaded by the presence of 3 men, who emerge from the narrow streets and courts situated between it and the cross, and then, crossing beneath the shade of some object, they stood beneath the low wall which surrounded the churchyard. They paused for several moments, and gazed around them in every direction, and up at the houses that were nearest to them. But there was no sign of light or anything stirring in any of the houses adjacent. "I think it's all right tonight," said one of the men to his companions. "Aye, right enough. There will be nobody near us tonight." "No," replied the third. "And if the signs of the weather are good for anything, why, we shall have a rough night, and though that is unpleasant yet, it makes interruptions less likely, and a success more certain." "You are right, Josh. We shall have a good job this time." There. That'll do until we are safe. It's no use talking here. If the old watchman comes round, we may have to book it, and then we may not have a chance. Ha 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 ha! As for the old watchman, he's not the fool you take him to be. If you imagine him at all likely to disturb himself on such a night as this, he'll sleep in his box till he wakes and finds it all fine. "Be that what it may," says the other impatiently, "it's all right now." "Yes, all right." "Then just help me over, and I'll get down on the other side, while one of you can get up on the wall and hand the tools down to me." "Well, can't you throw them over?" "I could, but it's not worth a while to make any noise, even though we felt sure that it will not be heard. There have been most strange things done in our time, you know, and there's no telling what may happen." "Ah, the dead may come to life." I said a word I wasn't supposed to say.
Aww.
I love the TikTok shop. The unalived might come alive. "So they might, and a pig might fly, but, as they say, it is very unlikely bad." "Well then, up with you." As he spoke, one of the men gave one of his companions a lift up, and with this aid he got on the wall, and then quietly slipping down into the burial ground, he awaited his companions, one of whom immediately mounted the wall in the same manner, and he received a bag which he handed down to his comrade, who was in the graveyard belonging to the cathedral. "Well, is it all right?" he said. "Yes, it's all right. Now don't stay up there like the cat on the wall. Come down, or you may be at chance seen." Ooh. Just double checking. The other 2 men immediately came over the wall, and they all 3 collected round a monument that stood up, and here a short consultation took place. "Now, how shall we proceed?" "We must get into the vault somehow or other. If we dig our way in, which I think is most likely easily done." "What? Underneath the building?" "Scarcely so much as that." "Well, but we can't get into the body of the cathedral, and then into the vaults that way. There's a door." "Why, yes, there's a door, but it's so close to the Verget's door that you're sure to awake him." "I've opened more than one door in my time, and yet I never awoke anybody in doing so. He must sleep wonderfully light. Ay, so he may. But in this case the door's so strong that there's no chance of breaking it open without great inconvenience and noise. There's no room to work in, and moreover, the verger keeps a little cur always sleeping on the mat close to his door, so that no one can approach him without giving alarm. Oi, what a brute! Yes, but there's means of entering besides that. Oh, where and how? In the back of the cathedral, there's a large marble slab on which is carved some letters that I never could make out, but I'm told that it says somebody lies buried underneath that stone. But I know immediately that it's the vaults below. Well, but the marble you speak of would weigh 14 or 1500 weight, which would be no joke. No, by Jove, said his companion. We'd had better by fall dig our way in, since we shall have so much difficulty in getting in. We can soon dig our soil enough to let us get down into the vault.
I want to thank everybody that's here on all of our different channels, and just remind you, please be respectful of the other folks that are in here. We are reading Varney the Vampire. This is from the 1840s, and when I say we, she's going to do the big part of the work, but I'll read the important parts. I'll read the parts for the vampire. If you see Jennifer commenting on any of the posts, that's me commenting through her account. I'll usually include a little bat so you can say what I'm saying, or see what I'm saying.
She's available every place.
I try to stay available as possible, so feel free to ask questions. We do appreciate all of you. Your gifts and the hearts and the likes and the sharing and reposting, all of that helps us a lot as creators. So thank you so much. And I need to quit tapping on my microphone. I'm sure my people on the red play button don't like it when I tap my chest. I know I have a habit of doing that. All right.
I am trying as well to be better about not talking with my hands and slapping my chest.
We're not the best yet, but we are trying to improve. And nobody here is perfect. You're not perfect. We're not perfect. We all are just trying to get better.
Yes, everybody do be quite nice. And for those of you who are in this platform, please let my moderators take care of things and don't worry about jumping in on them. Because you don't need to be confused. We did have a person that was confused recently for the person who was causing troubles.
Hello, Nick. And somebody's asking if we drink blood. We have. It's not exactly our favorite thing, but yes, anyway.
I think it tastes similar to the meat that it's around. So
Yeah.
if you open up a heart package and you get some of the blood from the heart, then it's going to taste similar to heart. Because it's been sitting in there for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, we had heart in our eggs this week.
Yes, it's Valentine's week. We always try to get a nice cow heart. It's delicious and good for us.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice reminder to see the hearts everywhere. It's like, oh, it's time to get a heart in so I can have some CoQ10.
Yep. All right, back to our story. Sorry for the interruption.
Well, we had better set to work at once, lest we lose all chance. If we have a long job, we had better set to work early, as well as stop here, for if we are surprised, we shall have to run. Yes, and the yard will be watched ever afterwards, as sure as we shall have a storm presently. So we shall. Work away, Josh. Where are the tools? Here they are, said the man, throwing a bag down and opening it, and then he pulled out some tools consisting of a pickaxe and shovels, and a crowbar or two, and several other little materials which were useful upon such occasions. Well now, where shall we commence? Just at the side here. We are safe to get in somewhere where the wall is weakest, for I believe the vaults are all walled in. Well, they must be, to have a secure foundation for such a weight as there must be about it, and to my mind, we've got a decent job. It's very much like a fortress, and if it was easy to get into this way, we should hear such things being done much oftener than they are. That's my opinion. And a very good opinion it is too, until another's heard. But it is no use being faint-hearted. The harder the job, the harder we ought to set at it, that's all. But there are some few things not thought of by others, you know. And it's sometimes the hardest thing in the world to think of the most simple. Aye, there's some truth in that. The men, having found the spot that they most desired, they set about digging and picking it up, in good earnest. But it was difficult work, and the soil about the cathedral was very hard, owing to the quantity of rubbish that had been driven or trodden into the earth for centuries, either through accident or design, to harden and secure the permanency of the work around. There were many heavy and large stones, as well as small broken stones, also flint in no small quantity that every now and then resisted at the blows of the pick. Well, I'm thinking we have all three worked half an hour and have not got a foot deep yet. Well, we've not gotten much deeper, certainly. Do you think that we shall get in tonight? Tonight or never, said the third man. Oh, you are right, comrade. Shoulder your pickaxes, and then we shall see what we can make in another half hour. Who can tell? We might come to a softer soil below. This one's only the filling up. The men again set to work heartily, but they seemed to have no success. They could not make anything of it. It appeared to resist all their efforts, and the sparks often flew from the blows that they made with their tools. The perspiration ran down their faces as they paused to wipe their foreheads. They gazed upwards at the clouds. It was heavy, and the wind was blowing fresh, and now and then a heavy spot of rain. By St. Peter, said one of them, I expect that we shall have a storm presently. I already feel the heavy drops that fall occasionally, and if one may judge by them of what we may expect, we shall have it heavy. So much the better. We shall have less interruption. Well, I don't know what you call interruption, but this is a complete stopper. I can't make any impression with the pick, and it's as hard as a rock. And then comes some of those old walls that are all rather harder than granite. You may as well pick at a cartload of pig iron. As this was said, the clouds suddenly appeared to open, and such a deluge of rain descended, and the earth seemed to smoke. The drops appeared to be continuous, small spouts of water. A shower is too mild of a word. It was a deluging, as if some waterspout had burst. The men stood a moment or two, but it was useless to work. They could not do it, and they rushed to a part of the wall which sheltered them from the fury of the storm that was raging. Well, I never saw anything like this before. Nor I. Hark that thunder. There's a flash. Who would have expected that at this season of the year? Not I. Nor anyone else, but it seems to me as if we were to be defeated tonight. I'm sorry we made the attempt, since we are sure to find the yard watched after this, for they will see what we've been up to. Yes, it is vexing, but we cannot help this. It is quite impossible to do anything in such weather as this. I do not care about a wet jacket, but I cannot see, and hardly breathe with so much fallen water about me. Nor I, but yet I'm loth to give it up, considering the jewellery and the money he had about him. It will pay us handsomely. Well, it was a strange start of him, at all events. I wonder how he came to be buried in such a manner. How was it? Well, I don't know all. All I know is that the thing was kept secret because it was considered that it would be a temptation to disturb any grave when it was known that he was buried in his clothes and jewellery, and that his money was buried also with him. It was certainly a temptation. I couldn't resist. Are you sure? Oh, yes. I'll tell you another time how I came to know all about it. Indeed, I saw him screwed down, and the coincidence is, I know that he has the money and the valuables about him. Then I'm sure that we had better get into the church itself. We can do more with your slab of marble than on the outside of the wall. And besides that, I do not think that this rain will give over the hole that we have already made is fast filling up with water, and we shall find it impossible to work. So we shall. What do you say to getting inside the cathedral? Agreed, my lad. As quickly as you like, for if we stay here much longer, we shall certainly be drowned. I'm wet through and through as it is. So am I, but never mind, my boys. Bright gold and jewels will warm your hearts, and that will keep your outsides dry, or at least you will not feel it. I'm sure that I should not if I can but get it. Aye, that's all I care about. But if you get foiled, you may depend upon it that you don't feel any the better. You're rather worse in feeling everything more. But what do you say to yon window? That'll do, if we can reach it. That's my only difficulty. Well, that one's easily overcome, said his companion, for I know where the ladder is, and that's just over our heads. All you have to do is put the point of the crowbar under the staple to which the chain is fastened, and that secures it, and then you have the means for at once entering. Oh, but if we get in and are detected, how shall we get out again? Are they not 3 to 1? If the old verger should come, I think that we could make a unalived one of him in a very short while, and I cannot tell where you'll be if you can't get the better of the old man. Well, well, say no more about it. Up with the ladder, and we'll get in at the chancet. Such a night as this, it would be strange indeed if anybody heard us. But as there is much to be got, why, we can't grumble at the risk. The 3 men set to work about wrenching the staple, out to which was attached a chain, which secured the ladder. That was soon effected, and the ladder placed against one of the lowermost windows, and then one of the men went up, and forcing the window open, said, after he had looked in, All right, come up. We've got to the right place. They all 3 came up one after another, when the first up crept in an open aperture, and by means of ornamental work, and a monument that there projected from the wall in a manner that enabled them to descend with ease, and in a few moments more the whole 3 stood in the old cathedral of Winchester. At that moment the bell tolled heavily the hour of 12. The sound was solemn, and it made a deep impression upon the robbers. What a dismal and hollow sound that has, to be sure, said one. Oh, yes, it sounded like a tolling. Pshaw! 'Tis no matter. If it be tolling, it is not for us, nor for the man we come to visit, so no more old woman's fears. If you don't like it, stopping in this place, you'd better set to work and be quick, when we shall have no further need of staying. Of what use is it for you to stare and gape about with white faces and swelled eyeballs, like so many cats? Be men, be active, and use your arms. Well, where are we to use them? What are we to do? You brought us here, and yet you do not tell us what we are to do. You know all about this matter, and you cannot or do not point out to where we are to commence. Here then, on this very stone you're standing, set to work, and to raise this, and then we shall soon find our way into the vaults below, and we shall then satisfy ourselves for our trouble, and be well paid too, I hope. Oh, I hope so too, Josh. For to tell you the truth, I don't ever recollect so uncomfortable a job as to which I'm in tonight. Well, you ain't got paid all, I'll warrant. I haven't got paid at all yet, but we waste time. Lend me a pick. I don't see how I'm to get a tool in here. The chinks are all so small that you can hardly put in a blade or a penknife. There's a hole somewhere near the head. There's a small piece of black marble. Oh, yes, here it is. Well then, chip that out, and then you may insert a crowbar, or pick beneath the stone, when you find that it will lift up, and then by main strength lift it back, and we may all go down. These instructions were followed out. The marble was discovered, and then knocked out, when a large crevice was discovered into which the powerful crowbar was immediately thrust, and then, By one united effort they contrived to lift the marble slab out of its place, though not above a foot, which required a great effort, when it is considered that it was embedded in cement. "Well, now, we shall be able to get it up now, I think." "Don't be too sure, for we have not got it far. It is enormously heavy, and the lever is done all yet." "Well then, are you all ready? A long pull, you know, comrades, and then a strong pull does the business. Now, then, all together." "Heave ho!" whispered another, and they all three made a prodigious effort. It was not only a strong pull, but a very long pull, for the stone was so heavy that it came slowly and unwillingly upwards, and it was nearly 3 minutes before the enormous mass stood upright in the aisle. "Well, I didn't think it would have been done. That's the hardest job ever that I had a hand in, and I don't desire to have such another. But yet, hard as it is easier than what we had to do outside." "Yes, much, and you'll soon find it so. Lend a hand to clear away the rubbish that lies here. There's a trap door underneath that leads into the vaults. It belonged to the monks of old, whom it is said served either for the same purpose of burial or for a cellar of wine." "Well, well, there are some things better than wine, I trow. In the cellar now, if we can find the coffin, there has to be no other burial in the vault since he was buried so well that we shall not have much trouble." "Ah, but what are we to do with the stone? If we let it down again, we shall do some mischief." "Well, we must turn it corner by corner until we get it against the pillars, and there leave it." "Yes, leave it, for if we let it down, it'll go down like the report of a pew-pew, and it'll smash all that comes in the way." This was agreed to, and it was not long before they propped the heavy mass of stone against one of the pillars, and then returned to the place where it had been raised, and began to clear away the rubbish, when the trap door was plainly observable, and after much labor and force they contrived to open the door, when there appeared a dark aperture into which they could not look without some misgivings, for nothing could be seen. "Well, who's to go down?" This was a question that no one liked to answer, and certainly no one would volunteer to go below. It was too dark to be inviting, and the men looked at one another as well as they could, for it was total darkness, or nearly so. In the aisle and below, it was so utterly dark that it was impossible to make out anything. "Well, what's to be done now? Have you got a lantern?" "I have, and matches, but did not think we ought to use them before, lest we attract attention. However, we will have a light now, and should anybody look down, they will think there's a general meeting among the unalived." So saying, he lit the lantern, which threw a light into the vault, and rendered visible a flight of steps that ran up to the opening, but were invisible in the darkness, and had reigned in the place. "Now then, jump down and see when the last coffin is placed. It's easily known from all the others, for I don't think that it has been buried here for many months. The old cathedral is not often disturbed for the reception of the unalived, and only when some rich man unalives and fancies he might lie in more comfort here." "Ay, rich men can afford to be buried in a good suit of clothes, and money in their pockets to bribe St. Peter to open the gate." "Ha ha! Well said. Peter has the keys." "Yes, and here we have the coffin." "Have we now? Is this it?" "Yes. Don't you see it has all the signs of newness about it? There's hardly any dust collected upon it, and here we shall find our treasure. The coffin is a strong one, and I think, take some trouble. It will take some trouble to bust open." "Indeed. We shall be choked with the horrible stench when we have below. I can't stand it another minute. I shall be sick." "Ay, and I too." "Hey then, I have the lantern. Lay hold of the coffin and bring it upstairs. We can carry it amongst us. Aye, anything but remain here. That I cannot do. Be quick, for confound me, such a mass of putrid flesh as there must be in here is horribly sickly. I'd sooner be unalive than pass another hour in here. Well, I'm not so afraid of being unalived as all that. I could manage to live through a night. You might, but you'd soon find out all the ill effects and be unalived to some fever or other, and that's what we shall have if we remain here much longer. Do remember, darlings, that at the time it was before germ theory, so they are thinking about the terrible smells and everything being a miasma in the air, the terrible miasma air being full of the sicknesses.
Grave robberies.
There's another term for that will come about, I do believe. Resurrection men.
Resurrection men. That's a fun way to call it.
Yes. It's another word for grave robbers. Well, you might, but you'd soon find out the ill effects and be unalive to some fever or other. And that is what we shall have if we remain here much longer. The three men then shifted the coffin from its place, and then on to their shoulders, one at either end and one under the center. Oh, the coffin was so very heavy, and the men were tottering under their burden. They were strong men, but hardly equal to the task of carrying so terrible a weight. But yet they never shrank from it, but, with slow and unsteady steps, they gradually neared the stair that led upward. They paused. If it was a task before, it was worse now. What more exertion could they make? "Do you think the steps will hold us?" said one. "I'm not sure. I cannot say. And perhaps not." "Well, I think they are rotten, or particularly so. What do you say? How shall we get the body up?" "Well, there's a rope, is there not?" "Yes." "That'll do, then. I'll get that by its means, and we may hoist the coffin up to the stone pavement. I'm almost sick." "And I too. This place is enough to breed a pestilence in a town." The smell in the vaults was certainly very strong, and very pernicious. The fetid odor that rose from the vaults was especially disagreeable. The smell that comes from the accumulated and putrefying remains of human bodies is of all odors the most noisome, and, to our tastes, the worst. Right glad were the men who had propped the coffin up against the ladder to get it into the aisle above, to breathe a less impure atmosphere. They gasped again, and one of them climbed up the monument to get to the open window at which they had entered, to inhale some of the pure, moistened air. And then, after a few inspirations, he returned at the call of his comrades to aid them. The rope was procured and secured round the coffin, and one man remained below to guide it, while the other two remained above to haul up the rope, which would bring the body, coffin, and all to the top. "Well, Josh, how goes the storm?" "It's blowing over, I think. It does not rain, and it's breaking. I shouldn't wonder if we don't have the moonlight after all, and if we should, we shall have a trouble to get away unperceived." "Oh, you forget what hour it is." "Yes?"
I got to 50,000 taps.
Oh, lovely. "Hark! There are the chimes." "What are you going to do about it?"
I have to do a magic trick, dear.
"Then do one."
Okay, but that means that I'm going to interrupt you reading.
I don't mind the break.
All right,
It's
I
been a
didn't
long
think I didn't
chapter.
think you would mind the break. You've been doing voices for a little bit. All right, so let's see. What trick should we do? Should we do something with some rope, maybe? Something with some money? What do we think? Rope trick, money trick,
Water, please.
card trick, maybe? Oh, I have my cards. Maybe we should do some card magic. So I'm the only person in the world that can do this trick. If you've never seen me do it before, I have here a deck of cards. very simply, I'm going to take a card from this deck, flip it around backwards, and put it back in the deck. That in itself wouldn't be that impressive. What will make it more impressive is I'm going to do so without the use of my hands, but using only my tongue. So let's use somebody on TikTok, and they will pick a card for us. Go ahead.
The three of spades.
Oh.
I see you, Donna. We got the three of spades. She's quick. She's quick. She's very, very, very quick. I think he'll survive this.
All right. Let's see if we can find that three of
careful.
spades. That was probably loud in the microphone. Sorry for those of you that are on that microphone. So we'll do a nice little spread out here.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
And see if you can spot the three of spades in there. Can you see it? Can you see it? These always get sticky from the saliva, so they stick together here. But see this one? If I just picked your card, you can send me some sort of gift to say thanks.
Huzzah.
Now, there's been someone distracting in my TikTok audience for a little bit and trying to troll, and they really feel like, and I understand because I've been to the forums where people talk about how to troll Shane and all that. So, yes.
I think it seemed that they want to talk to Ransom.
Yeah, they want to talk about Ransom and the situation. So I am running for mayor, and they said, you won't get elected mayor because your son has some criminal charges against him. And it's like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be that relevant. My son, when he turned 18, had a literal mental health crisis. It was an allergic reaction to gardening, and that was a severe problem, and we've talked about it openly many times. He will talk about it openly. It was problematic. He had to be hospitalized for a month. It was a big deal. But he didn't realize what was happening as the mental health crisis started, and he truly believed he was going to have a chest burster come out of his chest, like in the movie Alien. He was petrified. He was afraid.
He was trying to get to the hospital.
He was trying to go to the hospital. He left his house at 2 in the morning. He'd been 18 for 2 hours. His birthday, it was literally on his birthday. He'd been 18 for 2 hours. And he's trying to go to the hospital. And he backs into the neighbor's basketball goal, touches it with his car, and touches a stop sign next to it and just puts it in park. It's literally in front of his house. He hadn't even fully left the driveway. So he puts it in park and he calls 911 and he says, I need to get to the hospital. My son, or I'm very sick. Can you send somebody? And he waited in his car for 45 minutes. When the police arrived, rather than helping the kid that's obviously in a crisis, they arrested him for driving under the influence because he was in a car with the keys. And he said he had been doing gardening. And that was enough to get a DUI. So he ended up arrested for that. Literally trying to do the responsible thing, feeling like he was unsafe. He was petrified and afraid. And it was really sad that the police prosecuted him and chose to throw the book at him over that. He ended up with a suspended driver's license and several other things. And it took us a while for him to overcome that. It was very difficult for him. But he's doing much, much better now. Staying on the carnivore diet is very helpful for his mental health. And staying against the devil's lettuce is very good for him.
I don't even think you should say that word.
Okay, well, he has an allergy to it. She has the same allergy, actually, and we'd warned him that he might. But as kids do, he experimented. And I will be as open as I can about everything. That's really my thing, is transparency. We make mistakes. I make mistakes. My children make mistakes. You all make mistakes, too. None of us are beyond mistakes. How we handle our mistakes is what determines who we are, not the act of not making mistakes. If you're looking for someone who doesn't make mistakes, then Maybe log into some video game or something and just play with digital characters, because in the real world, we all make mistakes.
It is definitely scary, and people do occasionally have issues with
There are
it.
several people in the comments here that are saying they have allergies or
Some
their
of
friends
us are
do
not
too.
biologically able to handle certain things.
Right. And one of the problems with that particular thing is the people that love it, it helps them so much they feel they need to tell others about it. And they don't understand that there are legitimate dangers for some people. And so you have to be careful. It's important. And I'm libertarian, so I'm not pro, like, let's ban it. This is a problem. That you'll never hear me say that. I believe you should have every right to it if you need it.
Okay, so, I'm allergic to, like, bell peppers, so I'm not going to ban bell peppers.
Or peanuts. I'm allergic to cats, and I don't mind you guys having cats. I have tenants with cats. I have to go clean up the house after they move out, and I have to take allergy medicine because I'm allergic to their cat stander. It's a thing, but
You feel like you're allergic to people. Well, we aren't finished with Varney the Vampire.
Let's continue the story. I'll be talking through the chat, through my wife's profile. Make sure to follow this one if you see it chatting. I'll include little bat wings with my stuff.
The 4 quarters of the hour now chimed from the great clock, and sounded solemnly and mournfully in the unalived of the night. The iron tongue struck 1, and the last sounds of the clock went away before any of the men moved or spoke. "Well, we have been here an hour, and nearly 2 hours since our first commencement. It's nearly time, I'm thinking." "Yes," said the man below. "Heave, ho!" called out the leader of the gang in a low voice, and the 2 men at the top hauled at the rope, while he below pushed the coffin up with all of his strength, and after a time they succeeded in causing it to rise about a foot or something less at each haul, and as it got higher, the man below could better apply his strength to it. At length it came to the top. Here, however, they experienced another difficulty. It was hard to pull up so high as to enable them to throw its weight onto the pavement, and the rope was almost useless as a means of pulling it up any higher, and the only one who had it in his power effectually to apply strength was the man below. However, after a while, to their great relief, the coffin lay fairly upon the stone pavement. "A good job done." "So say I, Josh, and such another would completely finish me for the night. I might lie down and defy the world." "How about the coffin? There's no time to rest. I have a small flask of rum in me pocket, which we'll discuss as soon as we have broken open in the coffin, which I expect is the last hard job we shall have here." "And a hard job it would have been, had I not come provided with a screwdriver, one that is used by the undertakers in such work." "Well then, set to work. Good luck to you. I'm quite dry and quite tired too, and the sooner this is over, the better. There, the screws come out easily enough, though they are long and hold firm." "Oh yes, they go deep, but they have a wide worm that carries them down and brings them up so quickly." In a few minutes more, the whole of the screws were drawn, and the lid of the coffin was thrown on one side, and the corpse was at once discovered to them. It lay calm and quiet, but yet it was terrible to look at. The living man had been tall, remarkably tall, as well as remarkable looking. He was dressed as if for walking. It was strange. The corpse was apparelled as if in life, and this perhaps caused an extreme paleness, even extreme for a corpse, to be so apparent that they spoke not, but gazed in silence upon it, until at length one of them said, "Put out the light. We have the moon's rays. At least there is enough to enable us to see what we want, and the light is dangerous." The light was put out, and the subdued light of the moon rendered all apparent enough to the robbers. The storm had lulled and altogether ceased, while they had been busy in the vaults in getting up the body, and now it was a perfect calm. The moon, though obscured at the moment, promised to shed her rays upon the earth, and, as it was at the full, and the clouds clearing off, the probability was that the town would become as light as day.
Remember, in the world of Varney the Vampire, the moon is what causes the vampires to resurrect when the moonlight hits, in case you haven't been following throughout the story. Sorry. Did I interrupt?
You did interrupt.
I'm sorry.
You just wanted to share, I know.
I information dump.
There he
forgive me.
is. Shh. Quiet, baby.
Okay.
There he is, said one of the men. Yes, and about as ugly a chap as I ever saw. He's no beauty, but he's been a fine man. If you mean tall, I dare say that you are right, but he is not of swine as I take it. He's not quite full enough about the chest and shoulders. Well, he's got some fine rings and a gold watch and chain. Well, there's a good 10 or 15 pounds each, and if his pockets are well lined, why, he will afford us a tolerable good booty. Yes, we must not complain. Shall we replace all? It's not possible to do so either in time to enable us to escape, or to do so as to escape detection. Besides, there would be no use in it. See how bright the moon is getting? We shall have as much to do as we shall get through to escape and being seen. I'm sure that we shall run a great risk. I think so too. Well then, commence the proceedings. Ha! The moonbeams had fallen upon the corpse just as he was speaking, and he thought that he observed a motion in the body. What's the matter, Josh? Didn't you think he moved? The unalived moved. The buried moved. Eh? Why, it's all fancy, you see. Me believe it? Presently, well, I do declare, well, a man unalived and buried, I suppose a week? No. Well, I think so. Well, it doesn't matter much how long he's been buried, but he can't move unless you move him, darn it all. As he spoke, he started to his feet, and his hair began to straighten, and his limbs quiver, and yet he appeared to think that he might be mistaken, for he endeavored to speak to his companions, pointing to the corpse. He contrived to say, I'll take the jewels. He moves. Eh? Well, I told you I thought so, but you said no, and only laughed for doing so. But stand on one side and let the moonlight come upon him, and we can tell better than if he really does move, though, notwithstanding that I saw. I'm inclined to believe it's quite an impossibility, but the more light we have, the better we shall be able to tell how the mistake arose. I thought I saw his eye move. As he spoke, he moved to the side as he had been standing between the corpse and the moon's rays, and for the most part intercepted them. But the moment that he did move away, and the rays came full upon the corpse, a shivering motion appeared to pervade it, to the intense horror of the robbers, who could not believe what they saw, but believed that they were yet mistaken, though they were too much terrified to speak or even move. They stood gazing upon the body with bursting eyes and gaping mouth, as if they had suddenly become spellbound by the wand of some magician. Presently, the corpse opened his eyes and glared full at them. Oh, such glistening lead-like orbs that froze the very current of their blood. They knew not what to think. But when the body turned on one side towards the moon's rays, all doubt vanished and the spell was broken. "The devil, boy!" exclaimed Josh. Not another word was uttered by either of the other two, but they sprang like emancipated madmen up the slippery sides of the monument, and out the window as easily as a fly can run up a wall. It did not occupy more than a few seconds to enable them to clear the place. Half a minute had not elapsed before they stood shivering by the beautiful old cross at Winchester. We've got a picture, my friends. The woodblock print, original to the story. You can see the men fleeing right out the window. The corpse in the cathedral, which mysteriously became animated when exposed to the moonlight, turned towards the moon's rays and gazed upon the flying and terrified robbers who had just exhumed him. They exhausted him. No word passed his lips, and he looked around him for some time in silence upon the scene before him. The moon came in at the tall windows of the cathedral, throwing long streams of silvery light upon the stone flooring and upon some of the monuments that were erected by the pillars or columns that rise to the roof. All was silent. All was still. No movement was discernible save in the form that now sat up and leaned on his elbow in his coffin, and he but turned his head slowly from side to side, as though he were meditating upon the lovely and solemn beauty of the place. At length he arose, but he appeared to move with extreme difficulty, and once or twice he placed his hand in the region of his heart, as if he felt something there that pained him, and trotted about, but seemed to recover himself a little after a time, and muttered to himself in a low but distinct tones,
I must have another victim. I am weak. The vital action is languid and my veins are empty. I must satisfy the instinct of my nature, and another victim must restore me to life and the world for a season.
He looked up toward the window, gave one look around him and on the coffin, while a shudder passed through him, and then, gazing on himself and feeling for his valuables, he slowly clambered up the monument and carefully got through the window and thence onto the open air, and he finally disappeared from the Winchester churchyard. That's the end of this chapter.
Wasn't that delightful? A whole chapter of grave robbery.
Resurrection Men.
Resurrection Men, yes.
I think I've lost
How do
my
you go
bookmark.
for the carnivore diet? Here it is.
I'm sitting on my bookmark.
How do you go for the carnivore diet? So you stop eating plants and replace it with lots and lots of meat. Many times people underestimate the amount of meat you really need to eat on the carnivore diet. It is almost forceful at first, and incredible amounts of animal fat. So
Some people go cold turkey. Some people take a few weeks to get all the way there. But you can go through different sections of your things and start getting rid of all the naughty stuff.
yes, you have to have lots of electrolytes. So like we're drinking salt water. Potassium, magnesium, sodium salts are great. We salt all of our food heavily. Lots of fat. I eat more than a stick of butter every single day in fat. And it needs to be animal-based fats. If you can't do butter because of lactose intolerance, you may look at beef tallow or lard or other animal fats. She is amazing.
I never liked mangoes.
Excuse me. I'm not yawning out of boredom, I assure you.
Yes, these are my real teeth.
Isn't our cholesterol and blood pressure high from that? If you were here at the beginning of the live, she literally did her blood pressure with the cuff and came out at a 108/70-ish.
66.
66, 70-ish. That's only 4 away. I think that's pretty good. I have several friends who had high blood pressure before they started the carnivore diet. And
Sometimes
they no longer have to take meds for it.
If I hadn't eaten enough, sometimes they hurt.
Yeah. Do you ever treat someone? No, we only eat on the diet, and after a few months, you'll discover that you don't really want plants anymore. They don't taste as appealing to
That's
you.
not necessarily true. I did buy myself a bag of chocolate powder, and I made myself a chocolate bar out of beef tallow. I did.
And how was it?
It tasted like chocolate.
Hmm.
And I made it with a healthier fat.
Yeah. So occasionally, I guess you will have a treat.
Mm-hmm. You were told that Kerrygold butter is full of pesticides.
Not that I've seen, but
I think that any food that you can go into, most of them are going to have thises or that's that people are going to complain about and try to discredit things.
Someone says they've stopped the carnivore diet and since have been very sick. I'm sorry that you got sick after you stopped, but I've heard that from several people. It takes a while to rebuild your microbiome for eating plants after you've been carnivore a long time.
I do apologize, but I'm not familiar with how much weight a stone is. We do some fitness.
Mm-hmm.
We missed our workout sessions this last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday due to events that we had to attend.
Interesting fact. Don't get me wrong, I prefer meat, but look at human teeth. Sorry, I interrupted. I was reading a comment.
Oh, well, my correction would be that I didn't have to go watch Dracula, but I drug him up to go see Dracula.
So the tooth thing about humans, we must have teeth for eating plants, which must mean we should eat plants primarily. You are mistaken. Just look up a fruit bat's teeth sometime. If you want to see about that, look at the teeth that a fruit bat have. You will think they're the most vicious carnivore that's ever existed on the planet when you look at their teeth. The reason why most carnivores have teeth with hooking fangs is so they can catch prey because they don't have hands. They have to catch them with their teeth in order to unalive them and be able to eat them. So humans, being primates, hunt with our hands. We are able to throw things 3 times faster than other primates that are closely related to us. Our larger brains allowed us to calculate how to throw and trajectories to hit small game. Humans hunt differently than the carnivores that you're generally picturing. And there are other primates that are also carnivorous as well, not just humans.
I think it's a completely nocturnal primate.
It is.
That
Absolutely.
carnivore.
Yeah.
Carnivorous primate.
Yeah, so the ability to tell by teeth is not a thing. Do we eat raw meat? Sometimes, if we're having sashimi or something, it may be raw, but nothing that's that strange. I do eat my steaks blue rare, which is, some of you would consider that raw, but it's not raw.
Oh, are we getting a new Blade movie? How nice. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to work on resting my voice just a little bit more before I start the next chapter.
Have some water, and I will chit-chat with everyone. You just discovered The Dark Shadows. It's an old series and reminds us... that sounds really sweet.
Barnabas.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Josh. Welcome in. It's always good to see you.
Are you watching the black and white version?
Since they said an old series, I would assume. Although I guess the new series could be considered old depending on how old the person is.
The 90s?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is salt water that she is drinking. You're going to play some Dragon Age and enjoy a steak. That sounds absolutely lovely. I hope you'll enjoy it greatly. After she rests her voice a little bit, we're going to start another chapter of Varney the Vampire. This story is 50 years older than Dracula, and we've just had the part where the resurrection men, the grave robbers, so to speak, were going after a grave and got a small surprise they weren't expecting. I'm glad you find us intriguing. Make sure to follow. Your gifts and all of that are very much appreciated. The taps and the likes and the hearts and the shares and the stars and all of those things that help us as creators. Thank you so much.
I like to make sure that I eat before we do our vampire story night.
Yes, she has trouble. She is gifted with an anomalously long tongue, and our fangs protrude more when we're hungry. She has to feed because otherwise her long tongue and the fangs would interfere with each other on her speaking. So show off your tongue, dude. Do it. Yeah. I don't have that much. That's about all I got.
Makes me cough when I do that. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
she's got the Gene Simmons tongue going.
That's a journey.
She can touch her tongue to her eyeball. Somebody's like, I can touch it to my nose. She can touch it to her eyeball. But she's not going to do that trick for you right now because it's kind of messy. But yeah, she can touch up here on the end of her nose. Hello, kids.
I'm going to start.
Seamus, Maddie, and Joy, welcome.
Good evening.
Right.
Some days previous to the scene related in the previous chapter, the London coach drove up opposite to the Star Hotel, and, as usual, out came a couple of waiters to see what there was from the metropolis, in the shape of a passenger who might become an inmate of the hotel, and a customer, of course. "Now then, Billy," said the guard, a stout, good-humoured fellow, to a very stiff and meticulous waiter, dressed in black, with a white neckerchief. "My good friend, my name is William. If you must be familiar, though, I am sure that I don't number you among my acquaintances." "Very good, Billy. I declare you're one of the politest waiters that's to be found between Portsmouth and London. Aye, and more than that, you are the politest. Didn't you say that you are educated among a lot of the gals, young ladies, I mean?" "I never held any discourse relative to my early days with you, my friend. I am not, just at this moment, aware of it." "Oh, well, I see you're too polite to pass an east wind without taking your hat off to it. Well, how do they say when they have none?" "Have you anybody for us?" said William mildly. "Yes, my pink, I have." "Who is he, and where is he? I must not waste my master's time. It is an impropriety, and I am especially anxious to avoid." "You needn't be, Nari. Nevertheless, especially as I see that he's fumbling about for some small change. But what will you say if I introduce a customer to you, a good 6 foot high and perhaps a little to spare, and the colour of a well-scraped horseradish, eh? What do you say to that, my primrose?" William did not know what to say, but, after a moment's hesitation, he said, "Well, don't charge our customers by the room they take, or by their personal appearance. A gentleman is a gentleman, Mr. Guard, all the same, whether he have a red face or a white one." "Well, then that's good, Billy. But the chief thing is, after all, of what colour is his money, and how he parts with it, eh?" The guard winked, and William's impassive features were lit up with a spark of intelligence and vivacity, which, however, was the only transient, and he relapsed into his old state of extreme and unimpeachable geniality. "Hold your tongue, Billy. Here he comes." At that moment, the gentleman pulled down the window and said to the guard,
"Open the door, if you please. I shall get out here."
"Oh, yes, sir," said the guard, who immediately obeyed the injunction, and a tall but awfully pale individual descended the steps, wrapped up in a huge cloak, so that but little of his person was seen, or features either. What little there was visible was not prepossessing by any means by the colour.
"This is the Star?"
said the stranger inquiringly. "Yes," said the guard.
"I'll stop here. Are you the waiter?"
he said, addressing William. "I am, sir. Will you walk this way, sir?"
"Yes, show me into a private apartment. Let me have a good fire, for I am exceedingly cold."
William immediately took him to a room where there was a fire, saying, "If you do please to remain here, sir, we will make for you a fire and warm the room, and, as you are cold, perhaps you will prefer this to going into a room without a fire that is already lighted for your reception."
"Certainly, I much prefer it."
"Would you like to take any refreshment, sir?"
"Not now."
William left the room, muttering to himself, "Well, he deserves to be a prince. He is as mild and gentlemanly as a prince. I vow that I have never heard anyone speak in such a tone, and with so much amiable consideration. What a pity that he is so white, at least that he is so. I only infer from the nose and the part of the forehead and cheeks around the eyes, these being the only parts that I have noticed. He is, indeed, not much unlike in colour to the guard's vulgar simile, a well-scraped horseradish. I never saw white so opaque and so unalived before." While those thoughts passed through the mind of William, he saw that the apartment was placed in readiness for the stranger's reception, and placed himself in communication with the proprietor, and obtained his orders, Then he returned to the stranger and conducted him to his proper apartment, and then awaited his commands. The stranger gave him some orders, which were at once executed, and then he said,
I shall sleep here, of course.
"Oh, yes, sir."
I am very particular about my beds. I must have my bed well and thoroughly aired.
"Oh, yes, sir. We always."
Never mind all of that. Never mind all of that. I know what you would say. All your beds are always aired. Well, be it so. I have no desire to dispute it, but I once slept in a damp bed. I fell ill and have never entirely recovered from it.
"Oh, well, that makes him look so horribly pale," thought William.
So, you perceive, my friend, that I have cause to be particular, and therefore you will excuse me when I inquire minutely about the character of the beds.
"Oh, certainly, sir. Certainly, sir."
Then you will see that my bed is aired, will you not?
"Why, yes, sir. I will take care that it is especially aired, and if you approve of my doing so, sir, I will have a fire lit in your bedroom."
If you please, if you will do all of this, you will greatly oblige me. Are there any females in the family?
Yes, sir, the servants," said William, fearing some impropriety was meant.
Oh, the servants and no others?
None," said William quite suddenly.
Oh, yes, that is right. None but the servants. Then my request will not put you to any serious inconvenience.
"Not in the least, sir," said William, pleased to find that the females had only been inquired about for fear of annoying them. The stranger sat up in his room and appeared to be very ill, and ate and drank but little, though he ordered whatever was requisite for a liberal individual, and though taken away untouched, yet it was clearly understood that he would have to pay for it. The bed was used and approved of, and the tall, remarkable-looking stranger expressed himself satisfied to the proprietor of the hotel, who came to inquire if he should desire anything more or different from what was already done. This at once was answered in the negative, and the proprietor retreated by no means prepossessed in the stranger's personal appearance, which was remarkable to a degree. That was noticed by everyone in the hotel. "Winchester is an old town, a city, sir," said the proprietor by way of entering into a conversation with his guest.
Yes, very old.
"And the cathedral, sir, has been built in part ever since the Saxon times, and then increased by the Normans."
Aye, it is very beautiful. One could wish to lie there. It is so calm and beautiful,"
said the stranger with a shudder, which he endeavored to suppress, and then he added,
"The graveyard is quiet and retired."
Yes, sir. Have you been in Winchester before?"
"I have."
replied the stranger. Finding any further attempt at conversation likely to appear intrusive, the landlord quitted the apartment with a bow, which was condescendingly returned by the guest, who folded his hands one over the other and turned towards the fire, upon which he gazed thoughtfully for some time in silence. The strange and ghastly-looking countenance of the stranger had created quite a sensation among the individuals at the hotel, all of them declaring that they never heard of or saw anything equal to it in all their lives. But what was it? How did it happen so? They had seen unalived men, but they had never seen any so ghastly and so fearfully pale. "He doesn't seem long for this world," said one of them. "If you had said he didn't belong to this world," said another, "I should almost have been inclined to believe you." "He does." "He does look like a corpse," added an old woman. "Yes, and what a tooth he has projected out in front. Upon my word, I never saw his like." "And I," said another, "never beheld such eyes. Why, he is scarcely human. Such eyes as those I scarcely wish to look at again." "He always appears to me to be in some dreadful agony," said the cook. "He really looks as if he had perpetual pain in his stomach, and had eaten something that had disagreed with him." There was some truth in this last assertion, for the stranger always did appear as if suffering from some internal pain, mental or physical, or both, and it was soon seen that he was rapidly losing strength and could scarcely walk abroad. The cause of all this none could tell. Possibly it was only sudden illness, or perhaps it was a long affliction, to which he was used to, and hence the terrible expression upon his countenance, which appeared as if it had never been otherwise, so deep and so settled was the expression of pain.
Do you need to take a break for a moment, or are you good?
I'll take another sip of water.
Okay. My nose is a little stuffy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us as we continue reading Varney the Vampire. I'm reading the parts for Varney. She's reading everything else. She's the one that does the hard part.
The stranger appeared anxious to get out, but was unable to do so. He could just walk across the room several times in a day, but was unable to get downstairs, and whenever he attempted to do so, he sunk down, his limbs losing power of sustaining his weight.
I can go no further.
He muttered to himself as he endeavored to walk down the stairs.
I am lost.
As he spoke, a truly horrible expression came across his countenance that made William, who came to his aid, step back terrified. "You are ill, sir," he said, in somewhat uncertain accents.
I am ill. Very ill.
"Will you allow me to help you up, sir, to your room?"
If you please,"
said the stranger, who was endeavoring to rise by the aid of the banisters, and by these, and with William's assistance, he got up, and then with some difficulty he reached upstairs to his own bedroom. "I will send for the master immediately, sir."
You need not be in any hurry. I do not desire his presence.
However, William left the stranger to seek his master, and when he found him, he said, "Oh, sir, the strange-looking gentleman in number 5 is very ill." "Is he, William? What is the matter with him?" "I am sure that I don't know, sir. He sank down on the stairs just now, and could only get up to his room again by my help." "Something serious, I think, then. I thought that he appeared ill when first I saw him, from the expression of his countenance." "Yes, sir, it is very strange." "Very," said the landlord thoughtfully. "I'll go and see him, but in the meantime you had better send for Dr. Linton, who knows me and will come at once." "Yes, sir," said William. The landlord immediately sought the stranger's apartment, which he entered without any ceremony, and advanced to the bed in which the stranger lay, and upon his first glance at this occupant, the landlord stepped back in affright, so truly terrible did the countenance of the stranger appear.
"Ah,"
said the stranger, as he turned his glassy eyes upon him. I have come to see you," stammered the landlord. "I have come to see you. My servant informed me that you were ill, sir."
I am very ill.
"I feared so, and I have sent for Dr. Linton, who will be here immediately."
It is of no consequence. I believe I am too far gone to recover.
Another horrible spasm passed across his countenance. "What does your illness arise from?"
Decay of the systems. I want renovating,
said the stranger. The landlord paused. He didn't understand this at all, for the stranger did not bear the appearance of decay about him. He was tall, and seemingly of the middle age, he thought, and nothing about him to savor of decay, save indeed the terrible and remarkable paleness which his flesh appeared to bear, and his system generally, in other respects, bore nothing of the appearance of general decay. "Shall I send for anyone, sir? Have you any friends that I could write to for you?"
None, sir. Thank you,
replied the stranger, who, however, batted nothing of his politeness, even in his present position. "Have you any desire to see anyone in particular?"
No one. I thank you.
At that moment, Dr. Linton was announced, and the proprietor, having introduced him, left the apartment, leaving the doctor and his patient together. The former at once perceived and wondered at his extraordinary paleness. After a few preliminary questions, he appeared quite puzzled, and said to him, "May I inquire as to the cause of this extraordinary complexion?"
Certainly. It was caused by damp beds.
Damp beds, muttered the doctor, amazed and hardly comprehending, not heartily, was said of the nature of the reply. He was at a loss, but did not say so. What was the connection between the cause and the effect?
Yes, damp beds,
said the stranger. Have you ever suffered in this way before?
Yes, more than once.
And you have recovered?
I am here,
said the stranger mildly. Well, truly you are, said the surgeon. I'd almost forgotten that. Your case is so singular. Your pulse is very low and irregular.
It is,
coolly replied the stranger, but immediately a kind of spasm shot across him, and he had before exhibited to the landlord. Do you feel much pain? Does that often happen?
No, only occasionally. I don't think you are at all likely to benefit me, sir. I do not mean any disrespect to you, but my complaint is a fatal one in our family.
Are you all afflicted in this manner?
Yes, all before me unalived. And when it does come on me, I have no means of avoiding the end that approaches. There is no medicine, no medical aid that can be rendered, ever did us any good.
Well, you're quite an exception to nature, sir, said the medical man. Quite an exception. Your case cannot be beyond the assistance of medicine, if not to cure, to ameliorate, though its nature may not be ascertained, but if we could do so, we could tell you what we might be able to do.
That has been attempted before, and hence it is I am loath to give you needless trouble.
Well, I will call upon you and see you again, but you ought to take some medicine. I am persuaded that it's some great and extraordinary derangement of the system, a complete sinking of the whole system.
Most undoubtedly, it is a sinking in the whole system, a sinking which has never been stopped by human aid. But you can pursue what course you may deem proper.
Will you take medicine if I send any?
Yes, I will take them when you choose to send them.
I will endeavor to send you something that shall infuse something like vitality into your system, that will indeed help you to rally.
What will indeed be doing something more than was ever done by anyone who attempted any individual of our family. I feel I am very weak and am sinking fast, and do not expect that I shall again have the honor of seeing you.
As he again spoke, the same spasm seized upon him. His frame was convulsed for more than a minute, and his pallid features appeared to give forth expressions which was impossible to describe. The doctor paused, and gazed with something like fear and awe upon him. He had never before seen such a case so destitute of facts, nor yet such a man was quite beyond his experience. There was nothing like it in all of his previous experience. You distracted me.
I'm going to get more water.
There was no apparent cause for all that he saw. It might be some severe chronic disorder, which did not manifest itself outwardly. If this were the case, it was most extraordinary. But more extraordinary than all was, apart from the medical question, the strange and terrible appearance of the stranger, his paleness, the terrible expression of his features, the strange and even revolting cast of his eyes that completely baffled all his attempts to understand them or to remember anything that he had ever heard or seen. The stranger languidly turned in his bed and then closed his eyes, leaving his medical attendant to his reflections.
Well,
Muttered Dr. Linton, as he looked at his incomprehensible patient.
I never met with so fearful a human puzzle before, and never saw such an expression of countenance in all my life, nor did I ever meet with such a case. Had he been one of the fabled monsters of old, the creation of German mind, he could not have been more unlike a human being to wear a human form.
As he spoke, he quitted the room and made his way to the proprietor of the hotel.
who was anxiously waiting to see him, as he was to meet him.
Well, doctor, what do you think of the patient?
Why, I don't know what to think. I never saw such a man before in all my life. I cannot make him out.
Nor can I. I can't understand what he means or what he is.
Nor anybody else. But he is quite a gentleman, and yet there is something very frightful to be seen in him. I don't know why it is. I don't care about going oftener to him than I am obliged.
I don't doubt it. There is something in the feel of his hand, more like a corpse than anything that I've ever felt before.
Indeed, it is a queer affair. Do you know him?
No, I do not, replied the proprietor. He has not been here more than 2 days, and when he entered he had that awful paleness to which he has now.
Did he indeed? It is, I dare say, natural to him, though it must create an unpleasant sensation, go where he would.
He must feel it to be so, no doubt, but at the same time he could not avoid it. Have you come to any conclusion respecting his complaint?
I have not indeed. I will send him some medicine, though. To tell you the truth, I can hardly tell what is the matter with him. His disorder seems to be consistent of a rapid sinking of the whole system, accompanied by a few minor symptoms, and spasm, which must be very painful, for it produces an extraordinary effect upon his visage, and his eyes glisten like a piece of tin.
That's it, doctor. Do you know that I have been thinking for something to which I could liken those eyes to, but could not do it. When do you see him again?
Tomorrow sometime. In the meantime, I must bid you good day, for my presence is wanted in the Dundrum family.
Oh, have you of any of them for a patient?
Yes, 2. Good day, good day.
Good day, doctor,
said the proprietor of the hotel, as he bowed the doctor out, and then returning to his own apartment, he wondered in his own mind at all that had been said by the learned individual. When William entered the room, with a hastiness of the manner quite unusual to him.
What is the matter, William?
Oh, sir, I beg your pardon, but the strange gentleman...
Eh? Well, what?
Why, he is unaliving, and wants to see you, sir.
To see me, William? And unaliving?
Yes, sir, it's very sudden, but good Lord, how dreadful he looks. He clasped his hands and shook. It made the bed shake, and the windows rattle, just as if an earthquake were taking place.
Goodness me,
muttered the proprietor, who immediately quitted the apartment and followed William to that of the strangers, who lay in the same attitude as that described by William. But he was evidently endeavoring to repress all nervous emotion, and by the time he was spoken to, he succeeded in this endeavor completely, and lay apparently calm and collected for the landlord's appearance. I think I needed to say.
I believe that you sent for me.
Yes, I wish to speak a word to you before I pass away.
Pass away?
Said the landlord with a start.
No, you cannot mean that. You will get better. You are deceived.
No. Do not endeavor to persuade me from believing what I know is the truth. I shall unalive, and that too before many hours.
If that's the case, if it's so urgent, let me send to Mr. Linton. He cannot have gone far, and he will return.
Nay, do not do that. His aid is utterly useless. Utterly.
He is a clever man, but still, if your own feelings tell you that you can't live, allow me to send for a clergyman.
My friend, I have settled all that in my own mind. My affairs are all made up, my account is cast, and I shall learn the balance when I am going to. I wish, while I have breath, to beg a favor of you.
Anything on earth that I can do, I will.
Nay, I do not desire all that. I only want you to promise me you'll attend to my funeral.
All shall be done as you desire.
My breath, I feel it going. I have money enough about me. You will find in my pocketbook and purse a certain sum.
Yes, sir, yes.
And with that you will have the goodness to liquidate my debt to yourself, my funeral expenses, and place the residue of that sum about my person.
When you are unalived.
Yes, will you promise me? Will you swear to see it done?
Yes, I will, I swear.
See, you keep the oath. My breath is going fast. My strength is leaving me, and...
I will do all,
said the landlord again.
Will you have any friends to attend your funeral? It's melancholy, but I am obliged to speak of it to you, because I cannot otherwise know your wishes.
Do not mind that. But when I am gone, dress me in my clothes just as if I were about to walk. Let me have all my property and my money, such as it remains after paying all the charges. The remainder cause it be placed about my person. In fact, all that belongs to me. And place me, and place me, and place me.
Where? Where would you like to be buried?
Place me in the...
A gurgling noise, succeeded by a sharp rattle in the throat, was all the sound that escaped him, while his glazed eyes were fixed with a truly horrifying expression upon the features of the landlord, whose presence of mind appeared to forsake him, and he exclaimed, falling on his knees in affright,
Lord, have mercy upon us! What a dreadful affair!
Horrible, sir,
said William. Oh, you are here, William?
inquired the landlord.
Yes, sir,
replied that individual.
I am glad of it. Did you see him unalive?
I did, sir. How dreadful.
Very. But I am glad that you are here, because he has made some singular request about burying him in a certain manner, with all of his clothes on and his jewels and money about him. Now I should be considered foolish if I did anything of the kind, but I have promised him, and he has no friends. I will do what I have promised.
It is very good of you, sir, though I think that he has been very silly in making such a request, yet you cannot be so considered for performing the wish of an unaliving man. It is the duty of anyone so promising to perform it.
Quite right, William, quite right. But did you understand what he meant by his last words? I mean, where he wished to be buried?
I don't know positively, sir, but I think that he meant the cathedral. I thought so, at least. I'm not sure he said so, but I believe that he meant to.
Well, I think so myself, and in the cathedral he shall be buried. But it is a terrible-looking corpse. I'm sure that I could not sleep in the same room with him. Oh, the poor fellow! What he'll come to at last there is no telling.
Oh, why, yes, sir, he does look dreadful.
You needn't tell anyone that we have a unalived customer in the hotel, William.
No, sir.
Because people might be curious and wish to see him, and if they were to do so, I am sure that they would leave the house.
So they would, sir. He is a dreadful-looking corpse, and I never heard of such a one. What can be the cause of it? And to be buried in his clothes, too?
Aye, and his money and his jewels. That is very strange.
Very strange, sir, indeed. And the few persons who know of it, the better, else the body would not lie very long in its grave. There will be those who would not mind turning into resurrection men for the value of what he has about him.
So there would be, William. And now I think of it, the authorities of the cathedral shall know nothing about it, for who can tell what fancy they may take concerning it being an unchristian burial.
And yet, sir, he paid all of his debts like a Christian. Yes, and a remembrance for the waiter.
There could not be more Christian of an act than that, for who could be more Christian-like to remember the waiter?
And William at once admitted the truth of the assertion, and they both left the room, and instructions were given to William to obtain a proper aid respecting the funeral, and an order that was given to the undertaker to come and measure the corpse for its last garment. All of these things were duly attended to and kept secret, so that a very few persons were aware of the fact that so strange an occurrence had taken place in the good city of Winchester. Much less were they acquainted with the precise locality of the very house in which the occurrence took place. When the morning arrived, on which the funeral was to take place, some persons were surprised to behold a couple of mutes standing side by side at the door of the Star Hotel, and there had been no previous signs of mourning. The hearse and one mourning coach, however, were all that attended, into which one solitary mourner entered. There were several others made up for the occasion, to give the cavalcade a uniform appearance. The body was carried down by 8 men. It was very heavy, and the men bent beneath the load they bore. And when it was placed into the hearse, the one mourner, got in, and they proceeded toward the cathedral, which was quite close at hand. Very few minutes served to bring them to the goal, and before the entrance of the cathedral they stopped, and out came the undertakers, who contrived with much exertion to carry the body into the church, and then, after some preliminary ceremonies, it was conducted into the vaults, where it was deposited, and the burial service was said over it most duly and solemnly, and then left. It was presumed safe and secure to abide in its final doom at the day of judgment. But many thoughts prove but the shadow of our wishes, and this seemed but as a mocking shadow, as our readers are aware by this time of what actually took place in the terrible, terrible depths of the night.
In what name was the deceased registered? The burial, I mean,
inquired the clergyman, whose memory, like some of his other faculties, was obscured by age.
His name was Francis Varney,
replied the chief mourner, who was none other than the proprietor of the Star Hotel.
So Varney passed away, was buried, and then some grave robbers came to steal from him.
I like the word resurrection men.
Well, we can call them resurrection men if you want. Came to steal from him at
I
night.
think that's much more delightful. We are reading from Varney the Vampire, The Feast of Blood.
All right, boys and girls, we have been reading for nearly 2 hours. Well, we've been at least live for nearly 2 hours.
I was to say, it's 8:30. We start at 7.
Yep, but I was live quite a bit before that, which means we're going to have to get going soon. Somebody wanted to see my fangs. I hope you all will have an incredible night. We will be back here next Wednesday, 7 Central, same time, and we'll continue reading Varney, and we'll find out what happens after they open his grave. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Oh, it's frozen there.
It happens sometimes.